Here's something I figured out about my interview software. My interview software actually goes live before it tells you it's going to go live. So if you've caught me in beforehand talking with my interviewees about something, that's kind of why. It's kind of learning on the fly as you go. So everybody who's over at Heroic Fatherhood, thanks for coming to join us. My name's Charlie King. This is another in the series of Dads Making a Difference. This is an interview series I'm doing with dad bloggers all over the world who are out sharing their story about fatherhood and how it's impacted them and how it's impacted them to share their story publicly and what kind of response they've been getting. And I am super excited to be I got to say international because part of the series, the gentleman to screen left, Danny Gray of How to Daddoo, is my first international interview. He's over in the UK. Danny, thanks for joining us.
Thanks. It's great to be here, chatting, Charlie. Happy to be here.
Excellent. All right, so there's a massive time difference between you and I. What time is it where you are now?
Yeah, it's just gone 10 p.m. over here, so it's been a long day, but I'm excited to get started and get chatting.
Absolutely. It's so great. Danny had this, I was reviewing his website prior to our interview, and he did this fantastic post, which so many dads will resonate with, which is what it looks like after you've had dinner and you have all these ambitious plans of getting things done and fixing things and doing other stuff. And he in an awesomely English way says, what it's like after tea. And it's just, you just pass out with a food coma after putting your kids down. I just love that. That was a great article.
Thank you. Thank you. Carry on.
So Danny, why don't you start by telling us a little bit about your family? Tell us about, kids and configuration and where you live and like that.
Yeah. So we live in a place called County Durham in the northeast of England. It's quite near a place called Newcastle, which some people over there in the States may have heard of. I live here. I live with my wife. We have two children. Isla, my daughter, she's coming up 3 this month, end of this month, and then I've got a son, Daniel. He's just gone 6 months old as well. So yeah, two beautiful kids. I'm blessed, and a beautiful wife. So yeah.
Excellent. Excellent. Now, I have a question for you, something I didn't ask you before. When you grew up, did you have lots of brothers and sisters?
Yeah, I've got an older sister and a younger sister. So, it was very sort of female-dominated household, really. So, I've grown up with that all my life, around that. And, I think you'll find out over the course of this interview, my whole adult life, I've been sort of this awkward man child, which is where sort of the idea of the dad blog came from. I thought, number one, I've got to get these ideas down for the children to read and review, in the future, stories about, stories coming from my angle and things like that. And I suppose you'll find out how awkward I can be over the course of the next half hour.
No, I love it. I love the idea about being a man child. That is, I don't know of any dad that to a certain extent on the inside is like, I'm just a little boy that just happens to be in a big body now. When my son gets Lego or Playmobil or the little trucks or the little airplanes, it is not, he's 14 and it's not uncommon to see both him and I on the carpet in our living room going, none of that goes away, man. You got years of awesome play that way.
Exactly. I mean, I used to always play with sort of action figures and figurines and things like that when I was younger. So when my daughter, who's coming up 3, when she's like, oh, let's play with these toys, I'm like, yeah, they've got to get up the top of the stairs, and I'm like, come on, everybody work together as a team. We've got to help each other, It's just like all that side comes out of us. I think that sort of resonates through the dad blog as well, which is great,
Yeah. I would resonate. I'd agree with that. The dad blog is like a bunch of little children in adult bodies. That's for sure. Now, here's something that's kind of interesting about you as a blogger is you started, pretty early on, right away, as soon as you started having kids, writing at How to Dad. Now, let me make sure I get this right. It's How to Daddoo, right?
Yeah, How to Daddoo. Yeah. That's yeah.
So what inspired you to start, like, you had kids and then it was, let's just jump into this and start writing about the experience?
Yeah, pretty much. I've always enjoyed writing all my life. I used to love sort of creative writing exercises at school and things like that. So I always wanted to do something with that. And then obviously, as I mentioned before, I wanted something for the kids to look back on. And, so I thought, I'll try and do it in a sort of humorous way. So I'd always, it's sort of a collection of sort of anecdotal stories. It's quite a self-deprecating style. I'm happy to sort of admit my mistakes, and my flaws, and then sort of it comes out, and so it was born from that. The name Daddoo, I know it's sort of a strange name that came from my wife. It was like an affectionate sort of name she gave us when I first came along. It was like, oh, Daddoo's home, come on in, and Daddoo's going to take you for a while, and all this stuff. So, it was sort of born from that. I wanted to sort of create a what not to do guide sort of thing. That's how I describe the blog, so that is where the blog is basically came from, and growing further on, down the line, I was wanting it to become sort of a community where people can come together and, pretty much like heroic fatherhood, you know what I mean? I would love to, similar to that, just a community of where dads can come together and talk and shoot the breeze, and get together like that.
I love that piece around, like, I'm going to write a blog post about what you shouldn't do. Yeah. It's like, with the best laid plans, like, you just get out there, you're like, I'm going to win this. I'm going to do this thing and it's going to be great. And then it absolutely goes sideways.
Exactly. We've all been there, it happens. But I think another overall message of the blog as well is, from the feedback that I get from other parents, families, dads, everything like that is I want people to know, that you're doing all right, you're doing okay, whatever you're doing. And I know some of the stories that are some of the blog posts will sort of come across as sort of make think, oh well, if he can do it, I can do it too. So hopefully I can get that comes across in the blog.
Yeah, it's such a powerful message, and I don't think it can be said too much. There's so many dads who are out there doing the very best they know how, and they're doing the same thing that every other dad is doing, which is screwing it up somehow, in some way. But it's gonna work out. It has for millennia, right? Exactly. There are children all over the world. We as a species have survived.
Yeah.
It seems like dads are more involved in parenting than they have ever been.
Oh, definitely.
And there's so many dads out there who are willing to delve into the space and like delve into parenting, get in elbow deep, not just in the jobs of it, but really in the connecting and the guiding and the leading and jumping into the emotional space as well.
Yeah, definitely. There's that there's that famous T-shirt that's going around. I'm not sure where it's from, but it's dads don't babysit, they parent, isn't it? It's and that's sort of I would never claim to be a sort of a go-to guide, or quite the opposite. That's what's on the website, but I don't claim to be a sort of guru or anything like that. It's just sort of my take on sort of parenting, like things like that. But obviously the role of the father, it's such a multifaceted role at the moment, like you say, it's really important, obviously.
Yeah. Well, it seems to me like in the time that I spend online looking at different dad blogs and communities that have dads, that the UK is a place where fathers are much more vocal and involved as parents than my experience of dads in the US.
Yeah.
Do you feel like that's the case?
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of dad bloggers on air within the UK, you know, making appearances on morning breakfast shows, you know, their opinion is from the dad's perspective is, you know, more sought after than like you say ever before. You know, I do think that, and you know, it's sort of, it's always been a very important role, but I think in the eyes of the media, you know, you get a lot of sort of, you know, the role of the dad is sort of diminished sometimes, you know, in the mass media. So I think it's really important to sort of get that perspective, and you know, we all deserve a fair and equal shot there. You know, all parents, you know, all parents are equal. So yeah, it's very, very important.
Yeah, and I'd also like to, I'd like to clean up what I said. Is I don't think that dads are necessarily more involved in the UK, but it seems like there's more of a public conversation about it, or it seems like
Yes.
it's more something that shows up in media and in articles online and like that.
Yeah. Sorry, that I agree. That's what I meant.
Well, it wasn't for you to clean up. I needed to clean that one up. Oh, that's so funny. You know, so what are some of your favorite articles that you've written for How to Daddoo?
Yeah, I've written, you know, a few sort of humorous ones. One of the most important ones I think I've written is about a syndrome I was born with. It's called Simpson-Globby-Bemmel syndrome. So it's sort of an overgrowth syndrome, and you know, if anybody goes onto the post, they'll find that, you know, myself and my wife had to go to a lot of geneticists, you know, looking at genetics and family histories and stuff like that. When Ada was born, it's X-linked recessive, which means the girl is a carrier, and can, you know, or can be affected by this, and it can pass on to the males. The male would be sort of affected, and you know, it wouldn't affect a boy. So for sort of, if Isla ever thinks about having children, she may be affected. She would have to go back to see a geneticist. So it's a very important sort of, you know, you never want sort of your own ailments to sort of affect your own children, your own, you know, offspring. So it's a really important sort of conversation that was sort of bringing about awareness of it. I think it was my most popular post of last year as well. So it's really, you know, if anybody ever wants to look into that, you know, maybe starting the blog, but obviously there's a lot of articles. It's a very rare condition as well. So yeah, it's very obviously close to my heart, and you know, the fact I could raise awareness of it on a blog, and I had the platform and forum to do it on a dad blog was massive, you know.
Yeah, I think it's the kind of thing that would resonate for any dad who's struggling with, you know, maybe something that's recessive or something that, you know, that may not even affect them in their generation, but has a, you know, there's these things called diseases that are generation skipping diseases, where you know, your children may not have it, but your children's children may have it.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, being really, you know, it seems like I think it's super brave to be not only transparent about understanding enough so that when your child comes of age to be able to have the conversation, but being willing to make that a public conversation for others.
Yeah.
And it sounds like the response has been good.
Yeah, the response in the comments, you know, I got a lot, you know, and I think the most rewarding thing I've found since I started blogging, you know, it's not in sort of any monetary value or anything like that, or receiving, you know, a great product review. I think the most rewarding thing is when somebody would approach me, sort of, you know, if you see them in the street, or whether it be in the comments or on social media, and say, "Oh, I read your post, it really touched us," or you know, I got emotional reading what you wrote, and or you know, it's just to make them feel, you know, good about what they're parenting, you know, or their family life, you know, anything like that is huge for me, and it's the most rewarding sort of thing I could receive from since I started, you know, since I started this blogging journey.
Yeah, and a great lesson for us all, right? For those of us who share our story publicly, what a great lesson in sharing that vulnerable piece, which is that thing that when we, you know, like when we're willing to pull back the curtains and show, you know, like how it's going for us, you know, that's the thing that can really shift for people. So thanks
Yeah.
for sharing that. I know that that's something that is easily to like, nah, I don't know if I want to share that.
Yeah. It's scary, you know, to put that out there, you know, and things like that, because you think, oh, well, you know, because as I think as a result of that, the condition sort of, you know, some of the sort of symptoms that affected, I think, you know, I was like, I got quite bullied at school from it and things like that. So, you know, to put that out there in that respect, it was, you know, really important. It was therapeutic, you know. I find it really therapeutic to write as well, and write the blogs every week. You know, it's you know, by the end of the blog, you find yourself coming to the end, and you're like, all right, maybe I can do that better, or maybe I can do this better. You know what I mean? And it's sort of a great sort of reflection. Look, it's a reflective look at your everyday life, you know. And
Yeah.
again, it's a great thing.
It sounds like it's a real natural for you. It sounds like, I know that, I love that you're like, I write it, you know, I write a blog every week, and at the end of the week I read it, like, and all the other dad bloggers I see now, like, I'm trying to write an article.
Yeah. You get writer's block, of course. You know, it is. But you know, I just got me notes in my phone. I'm like, there's an idea. It's just be when I'm driving a car, I'll be like, there's an idea, like, you know. So it just comes like that. But you know, of course, writer's block, it affects us all the time.
And that's something that I've learned too. Like, more of my work is video than it is writing. And very often my ideas come at the most inopportune moments, when I'm out running, when I'm out doing errands, when I'm driving a car. And I've had to, you know, challenge myself that when I have the thought, I have to stop right now and write it down, because it will just disappear by the time I get someplace where I think I can write it down.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. It's important to get them things down. Definitely.
So what does your family think about you being a blogger and sharing your story?
Yeah. My wife's been really supportive, you know. She sort of, obviously, she coined the term Daddoo, you know, within our family. So she's really supportive. She's sort of a great proofreader, if you will. And yeah, the feedback's been great, you know, from the family, friends, you know, colleagues, everything like that. You know, receiving feedback's great. So yeah, everyone's taking it really well, and you know that, oh, I read your blog, and you know, when you get feedback like that, it's great, you know. Brilliant.
Yeah. And what do you notice about you, right? Like the not just having the experience of being a dad in your head, but actually being willing to write about it and have to, you know, tease out all the little bits. How do you feel like sharing your story has impacted you as a spouse, or as a dad, or even the way you see yourself?
Yeah, I think sort of when I come to the end of an article, I think, all right, it's sort of a great, you know, it's like I said before, it's very therapeutic. And by the time I get to the end paragraph, sort of, I write a sort of conclusion. I'm like, yeah, maybe I could do that better. Or yeah, I must be quite annoying to live with. Or, or you know, you come to these sort of conclusions at the end, and you think, all right, I improve this, or I improve in this area, you know, and things like that, you know, because it's a very sort of self-deprecating, you know. I'm happy to poke fun at myself, you know, in the blogs and things like that. And I'm happy to sort of, you know, self-deprecate, but I always come to the end and I, you know, all right, I can do this better. And there's always something, you know, life's a never, you know, you're never the finished article, so you've always got to keep improving. So that's generally what I find by the end of the blog, you know, just all right, I'll try and do it. I'll empty the dishwasher a bit quicker next time, or something like that.
Yeah, you know, the that keeping a sense of humor about it all, and being willing, you know, that you know, it sounds like that self-deprecating style comes really naturally to you, which is, you know, I like to call it like holding yourself lightly, not like having a grip on, I have to get it right, or just so.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, definitely. It's definitely to be, you know, it's a light-hearted take on fatherhood, you know. It's and you know, I like having a laugh at that, you know, and sort of looking at the funny side of things. You know, I think a lot of the sort of conversations I have with my daughter, I'm like, God, I've got to get that down on paper just so I remember it, you know, like some of the funny things she'll say, you know. I was like, she was sitting on the toilet the other day. I'll just, you know, sorry for the overshare, everyone. But she was sitting on the toilet the other day and I was sort of holding the hand, which she likes us to do. And she said, you know, she likes to pretend we're Beauty and the Beast. So she's like, Beast? I'm like, yeah. She's like, I'm having a poo. So do you have frozen powers? And I'm like, what?
You know, you like nobody could write this. Nobody could come up with this stuff. Nobody could write it. You like that's why it's so important to capture it.
Exactly.
It sounds like, yeah, it sounds like you use it as much to remember how things were and how they've been going as well.
Yeah, it's great to get a sort of record of it. So you know, you know, when she's 18, she'll be look back and look at the time she was on the toilet holding that dad's hand. But no, it's it is like, and you know, these are the moments to cherish, really. You know, when you know, out in the garden building a snowman with you know, with your kids and things like that. They're all moments to cherish forever. You know, so to get them down, or you know, sort of in a digital footprint is really important, I think, and you know, it's very rewarding to have that, you know.
Yeah. Now, how old is your blog again?
It's we started in July 2000 and
I think it was 16.
16. Yeah, sorry. Yeah. That's right. Yeah, 2016.
You're you know 18 months in now.
Yeah. So,
and what's next for How to Daddoo?
Well, I mean, at the moment we're on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You know, so really, we've just reached 500 likes on Facebook, which, you know, a huge milestone. But we get sort of guest blogs on there. You know, you know, I try and like coerce famous people to come and write about their experiences as being a father, you know. So look out for a few famous faces. We do like list posts. Also, you know, I'm always trying to sort of innovate and think new things to do on the blog. So, you know, I want to, you know, this next year, I want to sort of do more interviews like this yourself, Charlie. I want to sort of, you know, get behind the camera more. You know, I want to do more videos. Even if I could get a shop function set up on the site, you know, just to, you know, just to sell some, you know, products with the brand logo on, anything like that. You know, it's just all about growing and just building like that. You know, essentially, I think the end goal is to like just build a community of people, you know, and just let you know, as many fathers and parents as possible know that, you know, you're doing all right. You know, it's you know, you're doing okay. You know, mistakes are made. Nobody's perfect, and that's perfectly normal, basically.
Yeah, you know, it's like pulling. It always seems like there's never a time not to remind dads to pull them outside of their own head and to talk about how things are going.
Yeah,
where I often find that moms do that more naturally. They're more naturally gregarious and connectors. For dads, you know, it's like a constant reminder, like, hey, we got to talk about this. Like, how are things going for you?
Yeah.
And, you know, you sit with them for an hour and then, you know, just before you leave, they go, oh, yeah, my wife and I have been fighting every night for a month now.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, wait, what?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I always think about it this way. It's like when you put a pot on to make tea, right? You put on and you're boiling water, and that's like life. Life is the heat underneath the pot, and it's just heating the water up. And we keep a lid on it. That's what guys do. We keep a lid on it.
Yeah.
And if we don't do something different, it's going to boil over.
Yeah.
And then I think that like being able to be in community and like pull the lid off and blow the heat off is what keeps us going forward and doesn't let it overflow and lets us continue on with life. Because being a dad's hard. Being a human being can be hard some days. Being a spouse can be hard. Being a partner can be hard. All of those things can be super hard.
It's like spinning plates, isn't it? You've got to sort of pay equal attention. I think I likened it a couple of weeks ago on the blog, like a bonsai tree requires Mr. Miyagi's bonsai tree. It requires constant attention, like everything in your life. And I think sort of your mental health is sort of and sharing things with people. It's sort of something that gets sort of quite ignored, like you see. A lot of males, I think, try to keep a lid on things, and I don't want to share these things, but it's important to sort of get any emotions you're feeling out there, and just talk to people. It's massively important to talk and share experience and stories and however you're feeling at the time with someone.
Yeah. I loved your metaphor of the spinning plates, right? Like where they got the bamboo poles and they got the spinning plates up. I love that because that's so true. Like, you always feel like there's, like got to keep going. And every now and then it's super important to be able to go, somebody else has got to take care of the plates and I'm going to go sit down for a few minutes.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
And if we can read a blog post or create a video or create some content that's going to ease somebody else's struggle or give them some hope or some inspiration or even just give them a smile, can totally makes it all worthwhile. Definitely.
That's what I try and do, and it's what I think a lot of dad bloggers and the whole sort of community of sort of dad influences, parental influences online are doing. So it's a great sort of place to go. Read a few posts, comment, leave your comment. On their take. It's a great thing. It's great. It's one of the best things I've done. In my life, up there with sort of. Having kids, it's up there with passing my driving test. It's up there with.
I've got teenagers. I'm all over the driving tests.
Yeah, no worries. Definitely, you gotta do that theory. And it was a funny story actually. I passed my driving test, and my driving test, my driving instructor hated being in the car with us. He was always like nervous and jumpy and things like that. So when I got to the end. The instructor says, "Oh, you've passed," and me and the instructor in the back were like, "Really, me?" I'm like, "But I'm perfectly safe on the road. It's all good."
Yeah, exactly. When I took my test a long time ago, there were still cars, and my driving the instructor who taught my class sat behind me, and the instructor or the tester, the evaluator, sat next to me. And the instructor said, if you're about to do anything stupid, I'm going to kick the back of your chair.
At least you know when you've made a mistake,
Exactly. And he only had to kick it once, but they, somehow decided that I was okay. Work that you're doing.
Yeah, so we're over at howtodaddoo.com. We're on Facebook. I think it's /howtodaddoo, and Twitter and Instagram at howtodaddoo. So yeah, we're on there.
And that's 2 D's in the middle there, right?
DADOO,
right?
Yep, that's the one. Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. Well, Danny, what I'm hoping is that I know we talked about this in the conversation we had beforehand, but I really hope that we get a chance to either get you on this side of the pond or I get over there so we can do something live together.
Definitely. That would be great. It's one of my goals to sort of get the Dad 2.0 summit over there one time, and maybe 2019. My wife's on maternity pay at the minute, so we're like, what can we sell? But yeah, that's yeah, so it's definitely a goal to get there. Maybe 2019, we'll connect, Charlie, definitely.
All right. Well, there's plenty of time. We got plenty of time for that.
Exactly.
Danny Gray of How to Daddoo, thank you so much for making the time. This has been Charlie at Heroic Fatherhood. Oh, hey, I got a question for you, Danny, before we run.
Yeah.
I'm doing a program coming up here that's called Own Your Morning. And part of it's about what things we do first thing in the morning that really helps set up our day for a win. What are some stuff that you do? What's one thing that you do in the morning that helps you set up your day for a win?
Well, I've been trying some new sort of techniques to wake myself up in the morning and get the perfect morning routine. So one tip I would give everyone: cold showers in the morning. It doesn't sound great, it doesn't feel great, but it certainly wakes you up for the rest of the day. It's a great start of your day, gets everything going.
I have heard of this. I've been recommended this. I don't know if I have the courage for this.
Just take it a light lukewarm and that'll do, you know. Just
All right. Danny Gray, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll look forward to seeing you on the blog. And this has been Charlie with Heroic Fatherhood. Y'all have a great day.
Thank you.